Duke basketball is the very definition of a Goliath, a loaded squad with so much experience and talent that they are the overwhelming favorite to win the national championship. If Duke does not somehow win the national championship this year, it is a complete and total failure on the Blue Devils' part. Really, Coach K has no excuse not to win the national championship this year. The best recruiting class he has ever gotten. So many players back from last year's team that reached the Sweet 16 despite being so thin. It's just a team that is about as strong as really the Kentucky squad that nearly ran the table and won the national championship in 2012, led by Anthony Davis. We're talking about a team of that caliber, a team that's going to make serious threats potentially to run the table all the way through the season. They are just a matchup nightmare at virtually every position. The front court was shallow last year, not a problem at all this year. Not when you have three five-star players coming in. Just incredible what they're going to bring to the table. And we start off talking about Jason Tatum, 6'9" swingman, who can post up, but he is so slippery and incredibly difficult to guard in the open floor. He's going to be in matchup nightmare. And if Harry Giles can get healthy, he will be as well. Another five-star guy. He missed his senior year of high school ball after tearing his ACL, and he has suffered serious injuries in both knees. He's not going to be ready for the start of the season. A player to keep an eye on, just as much for his health as for his talent. That being said, Marquez Bolden turned some heads when he chose Duke over Kentucky late in the recruiting cycle. Another five-star guy who's going to bring so many dropped jaws hanging on the floor amongst the Cameron faithful. And, it's just, it's hard to imagine how anyone can match up to this squad other than the Kentucky Wildcats. John Calipari, the only team that has a recruiting class comparable to what Coach K reeled in. So on top of all of the incredible freshmen that are going to be in the front court, you also got to factor in Amile Jefferson. He was averaging a double-double a game through 9 games before he broke a bone in his right foot, extending his college career unexpectedly. So he had to take a medical red shirt. But now, he has a chance to win another national championship, something that was not really feasible last season. But now, like I said, it is expected. It should be practically all but demanded out of this basketball team. And, in addition, Chase Jeter, another player who will be back after playing a reserved role. Don't see him necessarily playing increased minutes, but you would hope that he continues his development and improves. Now, in the backcourt, of course, the conversation begins with Grayson Allen. He averaged 21 points a game last season. He gets it done getting to the hoop. Hard-nosed defense, of course, the stereotypical Duke floor slapper. He knocks down the tray, just, a complete college player. I say college player because, he's going to flop in the NBA like the vast majority of all Duke players do. However, you can't blame him for coming back for his junior year when he gets to be the big man on campus. It feels like he's been at Duke forever already, and he's only been there for 2 years. He played a massive role on the 2015 national championship team that won it all over Wisconsin. And he's really parlayed that success into what will be, just a fantastic rest of his college basketball career. A guy who has fully embraced being the villain. I can't stand watching Allen succeed as much as the next guy, but it doesn't matter what the haters think, including myself. The fact of the matter is, Allen gets it done, but he does it dirty. He's not afraid to trip people, not afraid to look like Ted Cruz. And, it's going to be a problem figuring him out, keeping him under control when you have so many other weapons. The only true point guard in Duke's squad is Frank Jackson, who is the McDonald's All-American game co-MVP. Another guy who is more than likely going to come one and done. However, both Grayson Allen and Jason Tatum can assume ball handling duties, which makes this Duke team all the more scary. On top of all these guys I've mentioned, Matt Jones started on Duke's championship team and was a co-captain last season, look, he's such an unselfish player. I think he's already accepted that, the ball's not going to be in his hands very often at all, but it doesn't bother him. He's the ultimate role player, plays fantastic defense with his selfless attitude and versatile game, and it's going to be hard to keep him off the floor. Another guy who is going to try to shoot his way into a lot of minutes is Luke Kennard. He was a diaper dandy in his freshman season. He was the type of three-point shooter that you could call a rainmaker, averaging 12.4 points a game in league play. It's going to be tough for him to really earn a consistent spot in the rotation if you're talking about playing, more than 20 minutes a game. He might have to accept getting fewer minutes, even though I'm sure he's going to improve like virtually every Duke player does in their time under Coach K. So, just a Duke team that is unbelievably loaded. I say that word a lot. You got to get it drilled into your heads that Duke is the team to beat in college basketball this season. They're playing in the toughest conference, and they might make it look easy because they're that good. If Duke does not win the national championship this season, bottom line, is a failure. You got to expect the Dukies to be cutting down the nets at the end of this season.